Coming up on today's podcast, energy, vitality, biohacking, a lot on mindset and my particular skill set of neuro-linguistic programming, and we talk a little bit about mysterious health issues as well. Hi, I'm Tony. I'm an author, presenter at Sky Sports, and years ago I went to the jungle and got ill. Very ill. So this is my podcast adventure to find more energy. It's packed with biohacking, science, health tech, supplements, and some of the most well-known experts on the planet.
This is something I spent 4 months of my life doing with electrodes glued to my head so that you can do a lifetime worth of meditation.
Decide what you don't give a fuck about, which is something you don't care about.
Some of it gets quite out there.
I had some stem cells sent up to my house that I had stored, and then I injected myself with mannitol.
And we even hack hangovers.
Alcohol is poisonous. So is water and oxygen in the wrong dosage.
So that's my podcast, Zestology. Live life with energy, vitality, and motivation. Hello, welcome back to Zestology. Hope you're doing okay. And today I'm recording in the glamorous surroundings of our spare room. So yeah, it's pure glamour today, not outdoors. Often I record these podcasts out and about, but I'm in the spare room recording this podcast, which was actually first a podcast on Sunetra Sarker's podcast, and we're now sort of reposting it, if you like. This podcast first appeared on Sunetra's wonderful new podcast, and so is her interviewing me. You've probably seen her on Loose Women and a lot of other programs, Brookside, loads of other stuff. She's very, very well known, and she's becoming a firm friend, and she's good fun, as you will hear. And I sat down with her to chat. Well, firstly, she's a budding biohacking enthusiast, so we chatted a bit about biohacking and mindset. She's into NLP as well, but also she's very interested in histamine intolerance and mysterious health issues. The wild world of TV. We've both got a background in TV to sort of share and chew over, and her mindset is rock solid. So I very much enjoyed talking to her about mindset and biohacking. It was one of those rare opportunities to further a connection. You know, since 2015, when I first started doing this podcast, I would say 60% of them were face-to-face. And now I would say that 60% are probably on Zoom and slightly lesser in person. And this was one very good opportunity to drive to Bristol in the pouring rain for a 25-minute podcast, and it was so worth it. So here is Sunetra Sarker and me on mindset, wellness, and biohacking. As I say, it's a bit of a different format because it's her interviewing me, and I hope you get plenty out of this podcast on Zestology.
So, today's guest is somebody that I found whilst Googling and falling down many various self-care rabbit holes. And I kept coming across the same name, Tony Wrighton, and he was all about vitality, energy, biohacking, low histamine diet, lots of things that I hadn't heard of, but I was really curious about. And I'm so lucky to have got him today here in the studio to talk to me.
I'm glad you Googled me.
Thank you. Yeah, you are my first Google hero. Like, I've been fangirling you online. And so I wanted to know, really, the truth is, where's the beginning of your journey? How did it all start?
Well, firstly, I've been fanboying you as well. You know, your TikTok lives, million views, not followers, views. I first got into all of this. I mean, I've been studying NLP for almost 20 years, but then I went to the jungle on holiday and I got very ill. And I came back and I had 3 months in bed. I got this virus and the doctors couldn't work out what it was. Turns out it was actually quite similar to long COVID, the effects that I had after that virus. But then I had 3 months in bed, and I was TV presenter at the time at Sky, and I thought, if I ever get out of this, it'd be great to do a podcast about energy because I don't have any at the moment. So that's how it started, really.
So you started off by mentioning NLP. That was before you went to the jungle.
Yeah, that was ages ago. Yeah,
right, and what is that?
That is neuro-linguistic programming. And I'm an author on neuro-linguistic programming. It's a study of how people do things well. It's a set of communication techniques on how you communicate with yourself and other people.
Sounds like a winning lottery ticket. Like, literally, somebody gives you a template on this is how it works. Yeah. This is what you should do to make it work.
I mean, I think it is. So the reason I got into it is not because I wanted to write books or do podcasts or anything else, but I felt like I needed something myself. You know, before we started, you and I were talking about therapy a little bit.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
went down a rabbit hole and I found NLP. And I just found it for me. I definitely sort of needed something.
That's so great, especially, and I say this with huge respect, for men to discover self-care is often a bit of a stumbling block. You know, women are more inclined, I suppose, to talk to their friends about stuff and try and get things out in more common ways. Not quite therapy always, but they have got their tools. Whereas I feel men have often struggled personally about it rather than openly. So for you to find something like that for yourself, it was probably a great open door for you to open your feelings up.
And it's been like the layers of an onion as well, you know, over the years, peeling back more layers. I mean, without therapy, there's no way I would be doing most of the things I'm doing in my life, including having a family and being happily married and everything else. I needed all of that to put my ducks in a row and get my life sorted out, really.
Wow. Yeah. So the jungle was almost the inciting incident, let's say.
Oh, God, yeah, it was bad. Yeah, I couldn't even walk down the street.
What?
Yeah.
Why? What? It was like incapacitated, like physically you couldn't walk down the street.
Post-viral symptoms, like a lot of people with long COVID, meant I just ached so much and I didn't have any energy. I was napping 3 or 4 times a day, a bit like chronic fatigue or ME. Right. You know, I had these sort of symptoms and doctors just couldn't figure it out. So I was desperate for some help and I thought, well, I've trained in NLP. I'll find an NLP practitioner. And I found someone who specialised in fatigue NLP, but also tapping. Have you heard of tapping?
Yes, I have.
Have you?
I've only heard of tapping again through my self-care journey this year. And I've got my tapper.
Oh, great.
And I do a little bit of tapping and it's brilliant,
Well, emotional freedom therapy is amazing. I wasn't, I sat down with this guy and he started tapping on me like this. And within 10 minutes, I sort of started crying. No. And then I started thinking, I'm going to be all right. And it wasn't an instant recovery, but over the period of a year working with him and everything else, I started to get better because I was releasing all this emotion that was connected to my physical symptoms.
So that was genuinely part of the illness the one that you couldn't walk down the street with. Yeah. And so this then meant what? You started this philosophy of finding energy and vitality.
Because I'm into everything. We've just gone super deep really quickly.
I'm sorry.
That's a credit to your interview skills that you've got me talking about crying and opening up within 10 minutes of chatting.
Straight in there.
But I'm also into all the fun stuff like face masks and saunas and cold water swimming and everything else.
Now, that is right up my street. And I definitely do want to talk about that. And is that so? To think about how you branch your sort of philosophy, you've got biohacking, you've got low histamine diet, you've got Zestology, which is about finding vitality in your life. And you've got your podcast where you're obviously exploring new things as well. Yeah. All of those things combined, what's the order that you discovered them in? What was the first thing that you got ill? What was the first thing that made you start feeling better? The tapping.
The tapping. And, really sort of a lot of biohacking, which you just mentioned, is optimizing mind and body. And it can often be really quite good fun. It's anything from, changing your diet to trying a different supplement to trying a gadget or a lifestyle practice or some Wim Hof breathing and cold water swimming or whatever it might be. But sometimes you just need something a bit deeper. So for me, I needed to address a few of my demons, which, actually getting ill was all linked to deeper stuff, which needed to come out.
Okay.
So, the deep stuff, the sort of the stuff that requires some therapy, and then a bit of cold water swimming as well.
And so you kept all of that in your life, or have you got rid of some of it along the way?
I mean, honestly, all the time I'm doing, my life is, if you came to my house, you'd think it is quite an unusual place.
Oh, wow. I love the thought of that because I'm Mrs. Gadget Queen. I mean, any fad I've tried, I love it. And I think I put it down to being curious more than anything, but all like just wanting to know, what is that? What's that thing do? What, you put it on your face and it does this? I think I've always had that interest in knowing things that I don't know. Yeah. And that's possibly where this whole self-care experience has been leading me. But when I read about what you're working on, what I've really found really positive is that it's not one size fits all so much, but it is a kind of, there's a general ethos about what you're promoting, which says anyone can do it. It is for everyone. It's not just for people who are depressed or people who've got anxieties or people who have disabilities. It's got this sort of inclusion And I can't quite work out what it is that what is your USP, so to speak?
Well, I think it's quite interesting you mentioned that, actually, because a lot of the things that you'll encounter, and I know you're on this whole journey recording this podcast, some stuff costs a lot of money, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
That's the difficult thing. So my ethos is some things do cost money and it's worth it, but let's always try and find something that's free or virtually free at the same time.
Okay. So what's your favourite hack?
I've got a good one for you, which you could do in your kitchen.
Right.
And that is, have you heard this theory about red light in the evenings?
No.
Oh, haven't you? Oh, okay. Well, even from an evolutionary perspective, for millions of years, humans just looked at the campfire in the evenings. So we didn't have any artificial light. And then, the light bulb was created. And all of a sudden we were staying up later in the evenings and we weren't sleeping as well. And that is because we only start to make melatonin when our bodies think it's nighttime. And if you've got lights like we've got here in this studio on here today, and we were recording at 10 o'clock at night, our bodies wouldn't be making any melatonin at all because we would still think it's daylight. So that's an issue because when we make melatonin, we sleep better, we recover better, we're healthier the next day and all the rest of it. So what I've got 2 switches in my kitchen and one switch switches on the red evening lights. And it's so calming. It's beautiful. You turn off the white lights in the evening, you turn on the red lights, and it cost me less than £10 to do.
No way.
Yeah. Because I just bought some theatre grade camera gels.
Wow.
But basically lighting gels, cut them into little strips and put them over the top of the light bulbs.
And that made a difference.
Yeah, that makes it just red in the evening in the kitchen.
And I've heard of light therapy, and this would be part of that, wouldn't it? But you're like a DIY version of doing it.
I'm going to send you on WhatsApp a picture of my kitchen tonight.
Yeah, please do.
It looks a bit like a brothel. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can use that bit in the podcast.
I won't show it to the kids, but I do get what you're saying. There are some things that are maybe just within reach that we could all do that just makes you feel like that sounds a bit like a treat. I remember the first time I put like little bit of extra lighting that wasn't necessary in my kitchen, and I used to look forward to switching that light on because it's just a feeling that you're trying to create for yourself that makes things that you are looking after yourself, even if it's as superficial as buying some fairy lights to put around the kitchen.
Well, the other thing you can do is we put on red light glasses every evening. So they're actually called blue light blocking glasses. If you Google blue light blocking glasses, you'll find these glasses that are basically orange filtered. And the last hour in the evening, we'll wear them. And especially if you're doing what most people do in this world, and that is listen to look at their phone screens. Then your last thing at night, you're getting very bright light. So you put on the red light glasses, and actually it's it makes the screen much redder. But then your body starts to make melatonin. You can start to sleep a lot easier. When you turn out the light, you go to sleep easier.
Amazing. I've got so many friends who suffer from sleep problems, and I've often thought of different things to suggest, but I've never considered that. So these are glasses you just buy.
They're so cheap. I mean, they look like, you can get really unstylish ones. You look like lab glasses. You know what I mean? like you're going to do a chemistry experiment. But don't try and wear them on the tube or when you're out to dinner.
Right.
I have worn them out before. You get some strange looks.
I love an accessory. I'll have a look for that one, don't worry.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Welleasy, the platform that puts healthy living within your reach. As a member, you get lots of wholesome products at wholesale prices. This is what we need right now. If you are like pretty much everyone I know, sort of watching the pennies at the moment, then you save so much using Welleasy. In fact, the average Welleasy member saves 250 quid a year. We personally get at least one box delivered a week, and it's got everything we need in the house in it, from loo roll to treats. Their mission is to make healthy living accessible and affordable to everyone. I absolutely love Welleasy. I've got to know the guys there. If you want to check it out, then it is welleasy.co.uk. Use the code Zestology10. That is Zestology10 for £10 off your first order. It is just the all-in-one digital shopping experience for healthy stuff. They've got food, drinks, supplements, skincare, home and cleaning. I mean, we started off just getting treats there, and now we get as much as we can there, and you save so much at Welleasy. So go to welleasy.co.uk. If you are the sort of person who likes shopping at Whole Foods or Planet Organic or something like that, then you, I think, will like this. because you're going to save money. Use the code Zestology10 for £10 off your first order. Enjoy.
With the biohacks especially, there is some fun to be had, and it is so interesting when you find something that works for you. With the low histamine diet, for example, which is where I found you, because I was sneezing a lot and I was thinking, what is this? Is it hay fever? A lot of allergy related symptoms. People tend to just take an antihistamine tablet and think that's actually suppressing it rather than releasing and getting yourself better. That's what I was led to believe. What is it that you found really improved your gut life using the low histamine diet?
Yeah. Well, I, like a lot of people, had sort of a lot of unexplained symptoms. Not the big stuff that I got in the jungle, but for years I've had a bit of a dodgy gut, and every once in a while I wouldn't feel great and I couldn't work out why. And having exhausted every other avenue, tried giving up milk and tried giving up gluten and all the rest of it, discovered this concept called the low histamine diet and histamine intolerance. And honestly, Sunetra, within about an hour, I felt better.
No.
Eating low histamine. I mean, I just straight away started to feel better.
I don't understand so you just chose foods that didn't have histamine in.
That was the first step, yeah. So we've just been ordering lunch for after this podcast, haven't we?
Yeah.
You'll notice that I didn't order the tuna salad.
No, I did.
I know, it's because it's very high histamine there.
Now, I would have thought that's healthy.
I know, but it's high histamine because a lot of fish is high histamine, but the longer that it sits there, the more histamine it accumulates. So fish that has been freshly caught and then frozen, for example, absolutely fine. The fish that's been sitting in the shop for a few days, high histamine.
So, so histamine just collects?
It can build, it can build in it. So that's why you have to avoid leftovers if you're on the low histamine diet as well. Honestly, it's all
what
the delicious
can you
things.
eat? What do you eat?
Listen, the worst thing is that red wine is the highest histamine thing in the world, and I love red wine. But I gave it up and I feel better. Do you know what I mean?
And have you not gone back ever?
I just don't drink.
So hang on. So you eliminated histamine out of your diet?
Yeah.
And
No, I didn't eliminate it. I cut it. You can't eliminate it.
Right. You can't. So histamine is something that's is it bacteria?
Histamine is present in every cell in the body.
Right.
And there are foods, and food contains histamine, and also some foods encourage your body to release histamine in the body. So this is something that I think, anyone who has seasonal allergies could benefit from a lower histamine diet over spring and when those allergies come up. But then something like you with the stuffy nose, for example, I really want to know what happens if you, just for 3 days, can you cut out all booze for 3 days?
Yeah, I can cut up. Booze is, funnily enough, one of the easiest things.
Okay, great.
Chocolate and sugar is a harder one for me.
Chocolate's bad. Chocolate's very high histamine.
All chocolate.
White chocolate's sort of okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do
we
that.
We can work with white chocolate. Avocados, you're going to have to cut them out.
So such healthy foods that we've been told to encourage to buy.
And tomatoes.
Do you know what Indian food is based on?
I like Nomato sauce though, which is sort of uses carrot and red pepper and stuff like that instead.
Okay, so you tell me to cut out avocado, alcohol, and tomatoes as an opener, and tuna and fish.
Just for 3 days, see if you feel better. And none of this is forever. I eat all of those things sometimes now.
Right.
I don't really have red wine.
But the fish?
Also, I've got something in my bag here, which is it's a supplement. You take it before you're going to eat a high histamine meal or you're going to have a couple of drinks and you're sort of okay. It's great.
This is
so there
another
are
hack.
workarounds.
You're hacking within your philosophy. Yeah. I love that. Well, that sounds like I would actually, just to see what you're saying, if it did make it because the truth is people don't know if they have got a histamine tolerance or what their histamine tolerance is until they try it. So basically what you're suggesting is if people were to give 3-day diets a go to see if they felt any difference, it would be the indicator that they did have a histamine issue. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. I mean, the weird thing about histamine is it's quite sort of, you're right. People think avocados and fish, that's healthy. Yeah. And I think that's why I started this histamine intolerance Instagram as a side project. And you just wouldn't believe the amount of people that message me every day because people are grappling with it, but there's a lot of people who suffer from it. And then there are links with long COVID as well. So I think a lot more people over the last couple of years have started to realise that they've got histamine intolerance issues as well.
Right.
But yeah, it's just worth trying. It really is. If you've got sort of stuffy nose, sort of eye issues,
sneezing,
skin issues, so much so many skin. I used to have dreadful like skin problems, hands, feet, sometimes on my face as well. That was all related to histamine. And that's mostly gone now.
I mean, it's real detective work what you've done.
It is, yeah. It suits my sort of quite geeky nature.
I love it. And do you know, one of the whole reasons of me doing this podcast is to try and expose things that don't get the kind of airtime they deserve. And I feel like maybe we're a little bit ahead of the curve here, talking about something that maybe people will cotton on to more down the line. So with your, I suppose your philosophy again being about vitality and energy, when do you have down days or don't you have down days?
Oh, I do. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And sometimes it's because of the histamine. But I think that's probably, sometimes when you have issues, whether it's physical issues, health issues, or mental health issues, that can be a catalyst for sort of improving, can't it? Yeah. And I'm sure I wouldn't be into all this healthy stuff and do a podcast if I hadn't ever being ill in the first place or hadn't ever had any problems and had to sort of reflect on that. It's sort of a gift in some ways. It doesn't feel like it at the time, but otherwise I just would have sailed through life and still be eating burgers and
So you did lead a very average life before. You were eating burgers and you were like drinking at night and going to sleep when you wanted to. I'm
going to the cricket with my mates next week and they will all roll their eyes when they go to the bar and they get 5 pints and like a vodka and soda water for Tony. You know what I mean?
No problem with that at all. So you found a compromise that works for you, which keeps you mentally and emotionally sort of in a good place. And that's all we could ask for, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's really what you're trying to do with this podcast, isn't it? Like just getting healthy physically, mentally, emotionally. That's the important thing.
Totally. And I think people have to pick, it's like a pick and mix. You have to go to the sweets counter and go, I'll have a little bit of that. I think I'll try a bit of that and then see if you can work with that in your life. And if you can't, you go back and you look again through the self-care, pick and mix and decide what's there. And I feel like you've been a real ambassador for men, predominantly men as well, who don't know how to open up and talk about their feelings and discover the hacks that you're looking into. But I do also think there is something to be said. I listened to your podcast, Zestology, and it was really insightful how you're searching, even though you've almost found your perfect balance, but you're still always looking. And I think that's also a key to the self-care that you promote.
It's all part of the pick and mix, isn't it? I just, I'm sort of I think I was just telling you beforehand, I've just ordered these ridiculous looking glasses, but I'm in my 40s. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. And I'm thinking, I don't want to wear glasses. I'm going to try and get them better again. So I've ordered these things that look like glasses and you put them around your head and they shine 3 minutes of infrared light into your eyes every day. And the theory is that you might not be able to reverse presbyopia, but you might be able to maintain the vision you've got, improve it a little bit with exercises as well, and not wear glasses in the future. That is the sort of thing that some people will be like, yeah, great. And some people will be like, come on, mate.
Just give me a pair of glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. But, the choice is the word, isn't it? The choice that you present is what I think is about. And I think that's what you've taught me just by following a lot of the work that you're doing is the choice is there. If you want to try it, try it. If you don't want to try it, don't. And I think when you hear somebody say that, you do tend to want to try it more. And I didn't think I would, but I'm going to say here and now, I will, as of tomorrow, start a 3-day low histamine tolerance diet to see if it is for me.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'd really like to see, just to find out.
Have you ever taken CBD?
No, I mean, everyone, again, this is another thing.
This is another one I want you to try.
This is another fad.
For sleep. Since we've mentioned sleep.
Right.
Have a few drops of CBD just before you go to sleep. Oh, it's lovely.
What's the difference?
It's the non-psychoactive part of cannabis or hemp. And it's very mainstream. You can get it in Holland and Barrett. You get it everywhere now. And for a lot of people, it sort of takes the edge off a little bit. For me, I find I just sleep a little bit deeper at night when I take it.
Wow.
Yeah, so lovely little hack.
Is it like Rescue Remedy?
I don't think so.
As an actor, before we go on stage, you go, couple of drops of Rescue Remedy.
Oh, really?
And then you feel like, I think it's more of a psychological boost. But yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I want to know about, these sort of new things and tips and tricks that I can try. So yeah, I'll do that. So that leads me to one of the main parts of our podcast, which is, can you tell our listeners your top 5 self-care tips.
Yeah. Well, I told you I was a bit of a geek.
Yeah.
And me and my wife have 2 WhatsApp groups that are dedicated to tracking how long we meditate for each day and how long we work out for each day. Because those are the 2 things. It's not particularly life-changing hack, is it? Meditation or working out. But those are the things that just make me feel good every day.
Wow.
And when you're sort of out working like we are today, I've come to Bristol, but I'm going to try and find a chance for a workout at some point because I know I feel better when I do that. And because I'm quite competitive, we compete against each other in a WhatsApp group.
Great. This is like the kids with their streaks, when the kids have got let's keep a streak going and no one wants to drop the ball. Doing something like that with your wife, that's a tip in itself.
But you're down with the kids on TikTok now anyway, and your streaks as well.
Follow me now. I think I've got 5 TikToks in my life. Sorry, so that's number 1. That's first.
Number 1 and number 2, the
okay,
meditation and the working out.
Great.
Absolutely, and as many steps as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, as you know, I run my own business. And this is something I'm playing with at the moment. Doing as much work as I can in the gym on the treadmill. It sort of works.
Well, actually
working while I'm walking.
Emailing while you're on the treadmill.
Yeah. So you can, you hold on with one hand to the treadmill and you do all your emails and you dictate and stuff on the other hand. Or on the bike, there's a little sort of plinth where you can put your phone. And that works well as well. Just because I know when I'm moving, I feel better and I have better ideas as well.
Wow.
If you spend 8 hours just hunched over your laptop, how you feel afterwards.
And you feel
it's
it.
awful.
You're like, ah.
That's why I'm trying to work more. I mean, the thing is, you can get walking desk treadmills.
That's very American.
But that requires probably an investment that I haven't quite got at the moment.
But again, a really good eye-opening tip there. Thanks for that one. Yeah, and your next one?
The next 2 are the couple that we've sort of already touched upon, but evening for sleep, dialing it down in the evening in terms of light, so warmer lights and maybe turning off the really bright lights in your house, and red light filters if you want to go the next step. You can buy red light gels for easily probably less than £5, and you can put them over some of your lights in the evening, and then blue light blocking glasses.
Amazing. These are great. I mean, as far as tips go, I haven't heard any of those ones before.
Good, yeah.
No, they're great.
And then the final one, do you want another one on sleep or do you want one on skin?
Or give me skin.
Copper peptides on the skin.
Is that copper that you put on your skin?
It's like copper peptides. People are like putting copper on the skin. This is blue. And if you Google copper peptides, you'll find a couple of companies. There's not that many out there, but so many of the guests on my podcast have said it's all about putting copper peptides on your skin for anti-aging, for longevity, but it's supposed to be brilliant for wrinkles and for smoothing out blemishes as well. One of the things with my histamine intolerance is I sort of got red patches on my skin, and I think they've got a bit better. So the copper peptides is a good one as well.
Well, you heard it first here. Guys, listen. It's a breaking news moment from our Sky TV reporter. Copper peptides. Yeah. I'm all for that.
It's good for hair. Apparently, it's even better for hair regrowth on the scalp as well. That's not something I need yet, but I've been using it for the skin and I like it. So, yeah.
Tony, thank you so much. I mean, genuinely, I've gone through a little self-care student journey with you. Yeah. I've got so many more things to do because of this chat and ideas that you've opened up to me. Thank you so much. You've been such an enlightening guest, and I really hope everybody follows what you're doing more.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No worries.
I'll be following you on TikTok.
Always. Thank you.
That is it. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you to Sunetra for having me on her podcast. Do check out hers as well. And I have no doubt we will be collaborating again in some way in the future. Look, as always, thank you for listening to Zestology. Please do support my podcast partners. Today, it is the wonderful Well Easy, the platform that puts healthy living within your reach. I'm a huge Well Easy fan, and we get at least one order from Well Easy every week. It's basically, I don't know if this is their official marketing, but it's basically Whole Foods that gets delivered to you with massive discounts. And in fact, the average Well Easy member saves £250 a year. It's unbelievable. When times are tight, this is such a good platform. What you do is you become a member and then everything is discounted. And it's all the sort of products I know you like because you listen to Zestology. Okay, they have weekly free gifts as well. If you use the code Zestology10, you will get £10 off your first order. And if you go to welleasy.co.uk/discount/Zestology10, you can use that link as well. But use that code Zestology10 for £10 off your first order, and it is so worth it. It's such a good platform. We get everything there, from all our loo roll, our kitchen roll. We used to buy nappies on there, and then we get all the treats there. They have amazing bars. They've got bars called Unrefined bars. I highly recommend them. They're amazing. You need the discount on them because they're quite expensive, but you get 20% off there anyway. We get all our flaxseed there. We just get everything there. So do check out Welleasy. It's welleasy.co.uk. Use the code Zestology10, and I've even got a product recommendation page on that site as well. This podcast is also brought to you by my podcast partners, Bioptimizers and Magnesium Breakthrough, a magnesium product that I love and I use every day. And if you use the code Zestology10 with them, you will get 10% off your order. If you go to magbreakthrough.com/Zestology, you can get 10% off, and it is well worth it. So go to magbreakthrough.com/Zestology, use the code Zestology10. I did a 15-mile hike at the weekend, felt absolutely fine the next day, didn't feel anything. And then I went to the park with my son and I did my back in celebrating a penalty that he scored against me. So that is proper dad skills, isn't it? And I need a bit of extra magnesium this week to sort that out. So magbreakthrough.com/Zestology and use the code Zestology10 for that. That is it for this podcast. Thanks very much for listening. See you next time.